Welcome to another SSCAIT report. Today I will be your host, Chobo Swaggins, aka Jealous from Team Liquid, and we will be looking at submitted replays of both AI versus AI and AI versus humans that have been recommended in the past week. We will see trickery, overwhelming micro, and much more. So, without further ado, let's get into the games. First game here is with Adias spawning as the Terran on the bottom left corner of Medusa, and Hao Pan spawning as the yellow Terran on the bottom right hand of Medusa. This replay may be familiar to some of you, in the sense that we did an Adias versus Hao Pan replay last week. This replay was touted as an example of how fake building placements can trick other AI into assuming the wrong position for their enemy. As we can see here, Hao Pan has sent their first SCV out to make a, let me see, just to make sure, it is indeed a barracks at another base. So before Adias has even had a chance to scout, there is already a building being made in an interesting proxy location by Hao Pan. Now Hao Pan is sending a second SCV as well. It's going to be interesting to see how this develops. And in the meantime, Adias is making an interesting placement with their barracks in their main as well. So it will be interesting to see what happens here. I already gave you a slight spoiler, but we see that there is a bunker going up. It looks to be some sort of attempt at a bunker contain, but it also will serve as a trick to confuse the Adias computer. And it should also be noted that there is a 50-50 chance that Adias will scout the right way, so this is a very risky situation. I found it interesting that the SCV was waiting for the appropriate amount of minerals here, just standing and waiting to get the 100 minerals necessary for the depot. Two SCVs now going back to the main minerals, which is barely not noticed by Adias. Good economical thought here. The bunker is placed and Marines are being placed inside of it. The SCV is going to become aware of it right now, and the SCV runs back, and now it is assuming that this will be the main base of Hao Pan. The SCV keeping a tab on the enemy here by running back and forth, possibly seeing this with a fog of war just to keep tabs on what is going on, maybe checking to see if there is barracks production and seeing how it can react to that. In the meantime, we do see a bunker and a marine being loaded up on the ramp of Adias, as well as a factory going up. Much more standard play here. A check to the front to see if there's any aggression coming in, perhaps, with this SCV. Meanwhile, we do see Hao Pan also starting its own gas and possibly transitioning into factory play of its own. This SCV continuing to keep tabs on its opponent. And we already have an incredibly unique game, something that you would never see, well, almost never see in human play. There was a famous Pimpus play performed by Boxer where he sent his Marines, first few Marines, to a different base in order to confuse his opponent into thinking that he was spawning at a different location. It was also in TVT, matter of fact. I believe the Vulture ran up to the ramp, killed the Marines, ran into the main base, and saw that there was no base there. Boxer, known for shenanigans of this nature. Also the, of course, famous game on Bladestorm, which unfortunately Boxer, spoilers, did lose. He lifted his command center and landed it at a different base so that these drone scout from Yellow, his rival and nemesis, did not arrive. Well, when it arrived, it did not see the main base of Boxer. So there's definitely precedent for this type of strategy, but it's probably one of the first times that I've seen it used in recent times, and definitely one of the first times I've seen it used in top AI level play. Adias, of course, being one of the strongest Terran performers, if not the strongest at the moment. Hao Pan, no slouch itself, now showing a very interesting approach to the game. It is going to continue with the factory. The Vulture put outside the natural base that it suspects that Hao Pan spawned at, to combine with the vision of SCV, giving perfect vision of a base that is not there, which is, again, very, very interesting stuff. The command center coming up now for Adias in the natural. I believe that it is coming up. Let's see what the production is. Still more vultures. A little bit of a economical play here. Oh, actually, it is a tank. Actually, I'm sorry about that. the tank is comes out and would be able to defend against this vulture that is coming out of Hal Pan. However, I'm sure that Adias will be perplexed by the arrival of this vulture, knowing that it has perfect vision of the supposed natural. It now flees with the vulture here and is bringing the barracks instead to scout the vision of the opponent. The vulture continuing to run in slightly within range of the tank, but the tank not being baited out of his base, knowing the danger of a potential run by. The vulture now seeing the arrival of the other vulture and wisely escaping, keeping itself just out of range of the tank, still perched out here to keep vision of anything coming and going. And I want to accentuate the fact how valuable this kind of positional and scouting information play is. Keeping tabs on your opponent, even if AI are not perfect at processing that information, it is a clear demonstration of the possibility of doing so on a human level. It's something that we take for granted. The authors of the AI already know that it's a valuable thing to have, which is information in a strategy game. And they've already programmed the ways in which they can collect information, even if the actual outcome of that information being collected is not utilized to its best potential. Instant siege as soon as the vulture confirmed that it is within range of the tanks, and this move up siege should be enough up here, even though there is a high ground position for these tanks, but it seems like both are out of vision range for each other. We got... Oh, that was the vulture coming in from the back, granting vision to that vulture and SCV combination over here. Should be noted that Wraiths are now out and in play for Hal Pan, but Adias does have a Goliath as well, something that the Hal Pan AI will become aware of now, and it looks like Hal Pan is opting to abandon this position, maybe push it back a little bit, and actually manages to snipe that tank. What a heads-up play from Hal Pan AI. And this, I don't know what happened here. Oh, the barracks lift and is now floating to the front of Adias from over here. The SCV is still perched out here to keep tabs on the opponent. I'm actually not aware if Adias has figured out its mistake, quote-unquote, or figured out the trick to Hal Pan's play in this game, but absolutely incredible mind. Oh, and another snipe of a tank here with a with a Wraith. The Goliath not choosing to go in front of the tanks, perhaps worried about siege tank fire from the high ground, despite the fact that we see everything from our perspective. The AI here would be shrouded in darkness for anything above this ramp area and this ramp area, so all of this would be out of its view, and perhaps that is why it hesitated to bring its Goliaths forward. Now we have an accumulation of siege tanks and Goliaths. It's definitely enough to start trying to push up this high ground position, and it did scan ahead to siege up within range. It does take out the siege tank. The barracks now is going to be pummeled down by the Goliaths, and this is going to most likely progress into a more standard TVT at this point. I don't believe that the early investment in that trickery from Hal Pan is necessarily worth it, considering the fact that it is about 20 workers behind, and army supply is similar, but definitely higher quality of army from Adias, with siege tanks and Goliaths being much stronger than vultures in TVT. Vultures only doing 5 damage to all large mechanical units like siege tanks and Goliaths. However, it has been successful in keeping the AI pinned in, despite the fact that it does have that superior army. As we can see here, the vulture over here keeping tabs on the army movements, army over here as well, mines being able to defend against any pushes, but the siege tanks now slowly creeping forward. I'm not sure if they're aware of these mines, but they are just outside of the range of the mine activation. They did take out the siege tank, and it looks like Adias is taking his time. One vulture back here keeping tabs on the army of the opponent as well. And this supply lead is now becoming a little bit too much for Hal Pan to deal with, but thankfully it doesn't seem like it will have to, considering that Adias is pushing vertically to the 12 o'clock position, where it assumes that Hal Pan's main base is buying Hal Pan even more time. SCVs are being produced, and so the difference in workers is decreasing 51 to 41 now. Well, at least a very relative difference in workers. The army supply, however, still hugely in favor of Adias, but because of the fact that it is pushing so slowly and carefully, which is not uncommon in TVT, because of that fact, it has some breathing room and is actually establishing a third base as a result, perhaps relying on the fact that of the misinformation campaign that it led in the beginning of this game. And a cloaked Wraith here harassing Diaz as well might take out another tank, especially away from these turrets. The Vulture here being attacked by the siege tanks. The Vulture now well aware of the position that it was already likely believing to be there. And I mean, just comparing the army sizes, of course, Diaz could march towards Hao Pan and do some serious damage at this point, but because of the fact that it is doing so slowly and it is going in the wrong direction, Hao Pan has successfully created a safety blanket for itself, and it looks like it is using mines to protect various expansion options from its opponent. There are two Goliaths here, and they are looking to possibly achieve the same thing as these mines, as well as protect it for itself. However, this is reminiscent of how McRave has started using burrowed Zerglings to keep track of bases and prevent Protoss overexpansion, something that we talked about in the Discord earlier. If you want to talk about AI and StarCraft, you are welcome to join. The link is in the description. So this push, it's been going for quite a few minutes now. At least 3 or 4 minutes has been pushing northwards towards this fake base, which only has a bunker and some mines and a Vulture. And as a result, Hao Pan has managed to reestablish its position here. This tank will go down to the next volley, and it does so. So I'm sure that a human player would be confused. A AI doubly so in this kind of situation. It is pushing forward slowly to the bunker. The bunker is now possibly within range. Yes, it is, of the leading tank. Another few will lead up to it, and I want to see the quote-unquote reaction from Diaz once it breaks this bunker, goes into the main base of the quote-unquote main base of Hao Pan, and what its follow-up reaction will be. Meanwhile, Hao Pan, the supply difference has shifted dramatically. Still a lot of minerals floating for Diaz, but it's now actually down in workers. The supply difference is almost it's entirely an army, more or less. There is a dropship being loaded up by Diaz, should be noted. Looks like Diaz has figured out that this base is vacant, and it actually is looking like it's setting up to take it for itself, but and as well as this side of the map, which would be a huge boon for it, considering the fact that this is a 3-player map, so a split map scenario will favor the person who has the extra main. However, it is looking like it is actually slowly pushing forward as well at the same time. Maybe it's not interested in taking another base at this moment. With the dropship still flying around, production still going, army supply still in Diaz's favor, but that ratio is slipping as well. Hao Pan catching up in almost every metric, and ahead in bases, absolutely. Looks like it must have killed the mine here of its own volition, and is taking its 4th base against a 2-base Diaz. The only now metric that it is falling behind in is army composition, as well as army amount. So, going forward, we will see how the Terran pushes of either AI compare, as we know that Diaz, as mentioned in previous broadcasts, is a top-level TVT player. Hao Pan clearly showing that it is no slouch as well, but the composition of Wraiths and tanks is definitely disfavored against tanks and Goliaths. Wraiths mostly used for their mobility and often used as either an initial cheese option or as a late game switch option, so that to catch the opponent off guard. In this case, they are mostly being used, it seems, for vision and for picking off stray tanks, but even despite that fact, the army difference is still firmly in Diaz's favor, and now it is taking a commanding position on the map. It has cleared out that mine. It looks like it will be taking its 3rd base and 3rd gas now. However, Hao Pan has been on more gases for longer. Let's see what it is producing. It is still producing, oh my goodness, battle cruisers. That is the follow-up to the Wraith play. Battle cruisers, still a very, very, very risky play against such a healthy Goliath count, and as well as someone that went for Goliath so early, implying that there was an early armory. That means that the upgrade advantage is likely in favor of the red player. The yellow armory not even spinning, so that means that air upgrades will be slower. The push from Diaz, both on the top and on the south, trying to collect more room for itself, but its forces are improperly divided. There's not enough here in the main and natural of Diaz. The crucial position, and how Pan could actually unsiege and push forward and do tremendous amounts of damage to Adias, but Adias is making a similar move itself, pushing against the natural and third base locations of Halpan. Battle cruisers finally out on the field, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. It looks like both AI are pushing now. It looks like how Adias is sending back some forces, but the majority of the forces are staying. Are they? Are they going back to help? Maybe. There has been a drop in the main base, and actually it's quite a massive drop as well. Only one battlecruiser here to defend. SCVs are going down. Siege tanks and Goliaths in a very, very awkward position for Halpan, but at the same time, Halpan in the main and natural of the opponent AI, and they are doing work, killing SCVs of their own. Worker counts are dropping at the bottom, as you can tell. The positioning game here is quite interesting. Siege tanks pushing on the natural and splitting away to try to combat this push here, but I don't think that will be enough, even if they brought the entire army here. Even with the high ground advantage, Mines killing Goliaths now. What an incredible game. All started with a crazy cheese, and now look at the supply difference, 153 to 93. Advantage in both workers and army from Halpan against Adias, using the trickery from earlier in the game. This command center just now starting to become profitable, or not profitable, but rather less of a money sink for Adias, and stuck on two bases, which are being contained by tanks, wraiths, vultures, and battle cruisers, and SCVs being ferried to the third base seemingly and being lost tremendously, has now pushed Adias into almost single-digit SCV counts against a 54 worker Halpan. Halpan still incurring losses here at the front, but the forces here seem to be plummeting. Mines being laid right in front of the siege tanks. Amazing mine laying, covering all the tanks, and boom, all of them go down. Jeez, this is truly a game to behold. This is one of the most exciting games I've casted for SSCAIT. Props to Halpan and Adias. I believe, after I had shown you guys how I got tricked by some AI cheese with the proxy gateways in the 6 o'clock base of FS after a fake fast expand in PvP, it's clear that there is a lot of potential for these trickery-oriented plays and how they can manipulate the assumptions that other authors and their AI make about the game that is in progress. For example, making them believe that the main base is located somewhere else, wasting their time pushing slowly but surely to a base that doesn't exist, and creating a lot of confusion for the opponent. And it is all but over now for Adias as it slips into 9 workers as the total count, and the army is going to push in and most likely take out this main base. The position from Adias has been cleared everywhere else. There's only 2 siege tanks and a bunch of SCVs here. This is where it's trying to reestablish its economy, but this is not going to be enough to hold back the tide of Halpan, which is now maxed out and is going to slowly but surely suffocate Adias, one of the best Terran AIs that we have, all due to a risky maneuver. Most likely it's intended as a form of double how should I call it? It's on 3-player maps especially, you either fake out the AI, the opponent AI, into thinking that you're located somewhere where you're not, or you contain them with a bunker, which might buy you time that could make up for the economic losses that you incur from going for such an early proxy play. And yes, Adias is most certainly dead now. 0 workers, minerals going down consistently, and we're going to call it there. Very nicely done by Halpan and Adias here in this game. What a fantastic replay to get us started. Thank you for the suggestion. Going on to the next game, we have McGrave against Ironbot. McGrave, as has recently been discussed, is one of the up-and-coming Zerg AIs. It's already been a force to be reckoned with for quite some time, but with its new Mutalisk Micro, it has become even more of a force to be reckoned with. And now it's facing off against Ironbot, a Terran AI, at 6 o'clock on destination. McGrave, the Purple Zerg, at 12 o'clock on destination as well, obviously. So let's speed things up a little bit here to see what is going to be the play for both AI here. Looks like no exceptional shenanigans from either player at this point. Overlord first. Looks like it's going to be a 12 hatch, which is actually quite a risky move on this map. Something that you don't often see because of the fact that it's so easy to block the natural expansion on a two-player map. And Destination, it is a full 128 pixels, well, 128 units rather, vertically, but this is something that can easily be blocked with a reasonable scout timing. However, Ironbot taking advantage of this map location as well and making a circling proof wall on its natural, and it looks like it is going to be following up with a factory, which is a one base tech play. Will we be seeing the now infamous 111, which is one barracks, one factory, one starport? That will be found out. Nope, it looks like it's going to be two factories. In the meantime, McRave going for its now patented 2 hatchery layer into straight up mutalisks. So it's going to be interesting to see what the follow-up is going to be. Is this going to be an armory? No, it's a depot. Armory is definitely needed at this time, as well as an engineering bay to hold off until enough Goliaths are in force in order to hold off the mutalisk production. Perfect timing on the Spire here, by the way. And as discussed in previous games, the second gas timing most likely now is very well calculated by McRavezy. My initial instincts were incorrect. The Vulture run by fails to achieve anything here, unfortunately. 2 add-ons being added, which is not a promising look for Ironbot. The engineering bay is coming up, but I fear that it might be it could be right on time. It depends on how much is invested into turrets. Another topic that we had discussed is the fact that there's an underinvestment into turrets. More vultures were being made. Each of these vultures, you can think about them as being a potential turret that is not being built. Both of them very low on health, both of them failing to run in. Very cute Zergling wall on the ramp as well to prevent any multiple vulture run-bys. Something that Mutalisk opening strategies could be delayed by. Mutalisk is now out and scouted by Ironbot, who is going for an expansion with no anti-air. Just 2 turrets, one of them about to finish, one of them still coming up. The Wraiths coming in piecemeal, trying to take out this Marine, about to take out this SCV that is trying to build that turret. Depot gets taken down. Looks like maybe it was cancelled. This turret will most likely not go up. 2 turrets are up in the natural. Will McRave dive in? Doesn't look like it's ready to do so. It is continuing to try to pester the SCVs. I'm pretty sure that was cancelled actually. This turret does manage to get up, and now Ironbot in actually a decent position, especially with the repairing SCVs, but the SCVs are going down as the Mutalisk count climbs. Another turret trying to be forced up as front of the depots and factories as well. Another Mutalisk goes down, and this has suddenly become a very tight game, considering the fact that Ironbot is ahead in workers, as it should be, but it managed to get up its natural without any sort of harassment there. McRave following up with a 3rd base of its own, but vultures are present to harass and to deny any drone transfers. The drone not making a sunken colony, something that would help it defend its position, and the Mutalisks have opted to return home to try to clear out this vulture menace, but with the vultures being split with AI level of multitasking, running away from Mutalisks, harassing different bases. Ironbot showing its strength here against a recent favorite in McRave. More repairs on these turrets. Will this turret ever go down? No, 2 Mutalisks go down instead. 1 SCV does go down. Another will be a 3rd. Yes, there will be a 4th. And this AI is still pressed for space and still hemorrhaging workers, but this is basically mitigated by the fact that I was about to say that the worker difference remains stagnant, but McRave and Ironbot are almost at equal workers now. The sunken colony has come up at the 3rd base, which should deny any future vulture run-bys. Another vulture goes down here. Army supply firmly in favor of McRave. It's going to be interesting if we see any Goliaths being made out of here. Will this be a Valkyrie? Yes, it is. It comes out in order to help assist the static turrets, but it overextends, and it does get chased by the Wraith, but the Wraith health is actually quite low. If you look at the health bars here, they're all in the yellow or in red. Goliath is out here. It is going to get picked off, but these Mutalisks are injured as well. Scourge now out on the map. Very beautiful play by the Valkyrie, running away, getting repaired, drawing the Scourge into turret fire. Scourge are not opting to run away from it before being able to engage, and now another attempt by the Mutalisks. McGrave's reliance on the Mulus is keeping it in its game. It's actually ahead in supply now, ahead in workers, and we're going into the next phase of the game where McGrave opts for macro-oriented play. It's going to be interesting to see how the game develops from here. We do see that the continued pressure has left Ironbot with a deficit of workers. Turrets still coming up, big money sink, and with less and less SCVs. Oh my god, look at this escape from this Valkyrie. The army is diving in to try to chase it down, but it's not successful. One last Scourge trying to chase it down gets taken out. This is just a dance to behold. This one Valkyrie over here did go down, which is a huge loss for Ironbot. Valkyrie is very expensive. I believe they are 275 minerals and 125 gas. It is going to find this Overlord, but I don't think it should be straying by itself so much here. It sounded like a Vulture took out a drone somewhere as well. Maybe it was an expansion-seeking drone. And actually, there's no economy here in the McGrave's main, which is interesting to me. All 33 workers seeming to be positioned elsewhere. More drones being taken out here that are trying to look for an expansion. So many Wraiths, I'm sorry, so many Scourge and Mutalisks, and somehow the Vultures got into the main base. We're basically playing catch-up to the speed of these AI. It's absolutely incredible what is happening here. Mines, defensive mines here. Mines everywhere, actually. It looks like they are controlling space on the map to prevent any sneaky expansions. And so many Scourge now chasing down this Valkyrie. This was a screenshot that was posted in the Discord that had me guessing, and I'm ecstatic that this is the game that we're casting. But so many Scourge going down, trying to chase down this Valkyrie. Is it actually going to go down? No, it's not even going to take any damage. Now Goliath's helping to take down these Scourge. The Wraith runs away and cloaks itself to prevent any damage to itself, and that is actually a tremendous investment in gas for McGrave. Somewhat, it is mining a lot of gas, being on 3 bases. It is maintaining its Mutalisk count, relatively speaking, but oh my god, so many Scourge! This is something I've never seen before, so many, and they're trying to find that. Oh, and the cloak at the end, that must be a bitter pill to swallow for McGrave Z's AI here. So many Scourge trying to control the airs, but incapable of catching. As I say that, is this one going to get taken down? No, it does not seem to be. The pathing, impeccable from Ironbot here. Another one running away from Scourge, and just... Oh, we did hear one go down. It looks like it just spawned, and the Scourge managed to catch it out, but more Scourge being lost. This is definitely a lost venture for McGrave Z. Even trading for one of those expensive Valkyries, the amount of minerals and gas invested into Scourge has been incredible, and let's not forget that there is a larva investment as well. It has been producing quite a few macro hatcheries. It has taken its 4th base, and 5th base seems to be on the way, but there has been quite... Oh my goodness, look at this. There's turrets, mines, I'm sorry, Vultures, Goliaths, and SCVs out in front of the base, catching the Scourge before they can even leave the base to harass Ironbot. And Ironbot bought itself some breathing room here. It is going to be hemorrhaging some SCVs here. Some of the workers that are here are not contributing to the economy in much the same way that McGrave's would be. It's unlikely that there are idle drones dancing around somewhere at this moment, but there's just so much going on in this game. It's impossible to keep track of. Scourge now looking for another victim here, weaving in and out, chasing the Wraith and the Valkyrie here, running again into the turrets, continuing to chase. Are they going to take any life? No, they are not. The game is continuing, and the push is now on for Ironbot. Siege Tank positioned at the front. Just one Siege Tank and supporting Goliaths and Vultures and turrets is going to be enough to prevent these Zerglings and the Mutalisks and Scourge from being able to push in. It's going to be a major pain for McGrave, who does have a ton of economy here, still a ton of economy in general, but Ironbot now 80 workers, perhaps even more than is needed in this matchup, but with so many forward it does make sense, is now pushing into the natural base of McGrave Z, pushing into the heavy Zergling count, the new sunken colony. The drones are transferring out of the main base, which is likely mined out. Almost, they are transferring out, but they're being slaughtered by the Vultures. At the same time, cute burrow mechanics here, but because of the hits, they are continuing to get taken out. Ultralisks now out in play, coming from this base, and Ironbot, just jeez. What a fantastic hold from Ironbot in a situation that it looked ill-prepared for. And McCrave Z is now hurting really badly. 44 workers, 41 army supply, a full 70 supply down from the Terran opponent, which is perched inside of its natural base. Does seem to be a dire situation as it is taking losses everywhere. More overlords going down now. Supply is almost capped due to these losses, but it's losing army almost as fast. Beautiful dark swarms being spread out into the main base, trying to defend, but unfortunately it is not in the critical areas that it needs to defend. If this tech goes down, this would be a further blow to McCrave Z, and it looks like McCrave Z is not long for this world as the main base is struggling. There is an expansion here. It's getting taken out by Wraiths. All the drones going down. More drones going down here. Worker count dropping almost into the single digits. These two hatcheries, this is almost the last unfettered economy from McCrave Z, as this base loses all of his drones as well. This base has lost all his drones. Only 3 workers, 178 minerals, and this game is just about over. What another fantastic recommendation from our viewers. McCrave Z, Ironbot, what a fantastic game. Today we're truly in for a treat. I believe that we are seeing things that we have not seen yet on this channel in one way or another. And with that being said, it is time to move on to our portion of the human versus AI games. So here we have a recommended game from Purple Wave and its author from the Schnell ladder, which has been referenced to quite a few times in past broadcasts. It is the StarCraft Human and AI League. It is an online ladder service where you can play practice games or ladder games matched against random AI. In this case, these are practice games because we are aware of who the AI is. It is Purple Wave, one of the more dominant Protoss AI, and actually I believe the only AI currently boasting a 100% win rate on StarCraft Human and AI League. The games are obviously only humans versus AI, and in the top right we have our anonymous human player Schnell, who is sending out an early drone scout, possibly in preparation for a 9 pool. That would seem to be the logical reason, or maybe is it an overpool? Overpool drone scout. Interesting choice here, maybe looking for some early aggression. I lost track of where the drone went, actually. I apologize for that. There it is. It actually cross-scouted. Very interesting choice here. Possibly seeing the viability of a early pool pressure build. It is going to go head north now. Maybe not absolutely necessary, considering the fact that the Overlord will arrive at roughly the same time to see the gateways from Purple Wave, but Purple Wave not opting for an FFE, going for a 1 base 2 gate Zealot play most likely. Now also scouting its human opponent and seeing the fact that it is going to be a pool first into hatchery build. This is a somewhat advantageous position for Purple Wave, considering the fact that 2 gate openings are weaker against hatchery first plays. First of all, that is because earlier larva allows for the human to produce more Zerglings. Second of all, because of the timing, the Zealots are not in force in time to deny the hatchery. That is, if it's a 12 hatchery or 10 hatchery over, like 10 over hatchery or anything like that. As a result, Schnell actually impacted its own production of both economy and Zerglings by going for the earlier pool, but is incapable of doing much with that early Zergling production. Looks like it is just going to try to contain Purple Wave and keep tabs on its movement. Let's see the reaction from the human. That was a very quick reaction. Takes down 1 Zealot, run away. 1 Zealot for 2 Zerglings is a great trade for it at this stage. It's going to continue to try to delay, waiting for the Sunkens to come out. 2 Sunkens are up in the natural. Great play from the human player here, sporting 230 to 300 APM now. Almost 400. A very strong player clearly here that we're watching. 1 Zealot tries to run in. It does get blocked out and destroyed by the Sunken colonies. The Zealots are going to patrol out here, trying to keep tabs on the enemy. The enemy has taken a 3rd base as well, with Sunkens already in tow. So very strong play, going up 3 bases against 1 of Purple Wave, but Purple Wave is going for the now dreaded 4-gate Dragoon production. It's going to continue to try to apply pressure to the Zerg's base, running its Zerglings back intelligently to draw the Zealots into the Sunken Fire, but is losing a couple of them by chasing them outwards. More Sunkens look like they're going to be placed. Not the optimal position there because it is going a little bit forward. That's likely the first Sunken that will be taken out if it does finish, but the Sunken count itself is quite strong. Let's see what the tech option is from the Zerg. No, it's going to be pure Sunkens, Zerglings, and drones at the moment. Not even a gas up for the Terran player. I'm sorry, the Zerg player. Forge now coming up for Purple Wave, perhaps recognizing that it won't be able to pressure, is going to start taking its natural base and securing it with cannons. The Zerg also teching up into any form of gas at all at the moment. It looks like it was trying to barely hold on. The Sunken does start getting targeted, but it stays in good health. Zealots and Dragoons, looks like they decided not to continue to pressure this base. And wow, look at the sunken count here. Knowing that there's not enough Zerglings here, it needs the high sunken count in order to keep the pressure off of itself. It is going to keep pushing with the Dragoons, though. The commitment from Purple Wave is admirable. 2 Dragoons for 2 Sunkens is not a bad trade, but this base will still go up. It's forcing a lot of drone expenditure from the Zerg human player, and it is mining off of 3 gases soon to be going into layer, which leads me to believe that it's most likely going to be either some fast hive play or perhaps Mutalisk play. Some Zergling run by attempt here, but unfortunately the cannon does get cancelled, but the Dragoons are here microing flawlessly against the human player. And all we can say is that this has been an incredible game. Now a cliff hatchery from the Zerg player, fearing perhaps a bust and therefore wanting to be able to protect this area with creep spread. A large number of Dragoons here now, not enough Zerglings to hold it back. It is going to scare the Dragoons away. There are quite a few Sunkens here. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Sunkens here. More Sunkens being put up. Almost perfect wall here. Quite a few Sunkens here as well. What are we going into? It looks like we're going into Spire, more macro hatcheries. 3 hatcheries on the way now, but also a robotics facility coming up for the Protoss player, but no notable anti-air options. There's no cannons in the middle line. There's no scout play. I'm sorry, Corsair play in view, but this base is being pressured all the way down. There's so many Dragoons. These Sunkens pop up right in the nick of time. Going up to more and more Sunkens. These bases have been so unprofitable for the human player, but at the same time they have bought it time to tech up and be safe in its main base. It is going to be Mutalisk play, it seems like. However, it's just been mostly Zerglings actually. Maybe the Spire was only for Scourge just in case. Zerglings now finding the 3rd base from from Purple Wave. The human player is still sporting peaks of over 300 APM, playing tremendous game. Looks like this is a Queen's Nest. Yes, we are going into relatively fast hive play, but the supply difference now almost double in favor of Purple Wave, with a worker supply lead as well. The main base is getting kind of scant, and there still is no air defense here. This probe trying to expand, but only surviving to pull the Zergling away. And now the multitasking of the human is looking like it's going to be strained by the pressure from the AI. Look at this Reaver play here. This is the infamous Purple Wave, and well, Banana Brain does it too. This pressure with the Reaver and Shuttle looking to be so difficult to deal with, but the Scourge were made in order to handle it. This is something that the Spire was most likely intended for. Scourge intelligently being placed in key areas where the Shuttle may go. The Shuttle now coming back. Is it going to be held up? Yes, it is. It survives thanks to the help of the Dragoons. Dragoons being such a valuable and versatile unit in this situation. Look at that running away of the Shuttle, keeping tabs on the army. But at the same time, the Zergling production has pushed the army away from this base, and also, perhaps more crucially, its 4th base as well. Continuing to make Zerglings, it seems like, and now with Hive Tech upgrades most likely either completed or on the way. But in theory, Dragoons should lose to this kind of composition, but with the addition of the Inhuman Reavers, 1 in each shuttle, it looks like the human player is struggling. And after such a hard investment into Sunkens early on in the game due to the 4-gate Dragoon pressure, we are now seeing that the supply difference is still double in favor of the AI, and the worker count is also almost double in favor of Purple Wave, who has taken a 4th base of its own. The Reavers are now pushing down the Sunkens. They are slightly crawling into range of the Sunkens, so unfortunately they're not getting away unscathed. The Dragoons have been cleaned up. Mutalisks will be able to clean up these Reavers now, and the Zerg player holds on to their base for a little bit longer one more time. The Reavers going down, but the question is, has the damage already been done? Purple Wave at such a dominant economical position, but this base completely undefended. Purple Wave perhaps not realizing that it could have lost that army. All of these probes are going to go down. This Nexus is definitely going to go down. And the probes now trying to escape. Still no defenses here. It looks like this Nexus was tampered with as well. Now we have High Templar and Storm out. They take out those Zerglings and Vultures, and more shuttles are dancing around the middle of the map, looking for an opportunity to push in, or waiting for an opportunity to defend a base. Another 4th base is coming up now for Purple Wave at this base. Defense here from Dragoons. Templar also at the ready. Looks like the Mulists opt instead to try to take out the probes, but it's not going to be a successful venture. There's still a lot of economy going active for Purple Wave. Purple Wave still almost double the supply. Storms, beautiful blanket storms here, taking out so many of the Zerglings, but one Templar does go down. The other one is protected by Dragoons and Archon being made, which is Archon's probably the best unit against this composition from Zerg, which is pure Zergling Mutalisk. This Templar might get caught out, but it recognizes very soon the danger that it's in. It runs back to its base. The Reaver and Cannon and Dragoons help to maintain its life here. And our Zerg player is in a lot of trouble. 4-base Protoss against 4-base Zerg is definitely a losing position for the Zerg player. Double Storms here, maybe not the most optimal use of them, but it does take out the Zerglings that are pestering the AI here. And the Reavers and Dragoons should be enough to take out this base. Looks like the human player recognizing that with Archons in play, Hydralisks might have to be the move. Unfortunately, switching to Hydralisk production at this time, they do not seem to be speed upgraded. They do seem like maybe they have the range upgrade, but it's unclear. Even a DT in the mix now, and this pressure on this base, incredible pressure, is going to take down this base and leave this base wide open for the taking. Archon does go down. Dragoon army is actually not that big, but with 2 Templar and a Reaver in tow, I don't see this Zerg being able to produce enough army out of this base in order to keep it alive. There's actually Reavers and Templar here preventing reinforcements from saving the other base of the human player, and with that, the human player taps out. What a fantastic game. Again, we are so blessed today to be having such beautiful games from our community being contributed. Thank you all so much. Sorry, I had to take a quick sip there. And for our final replay, we are going to be viewing yet another game from the same 2 competitors, Purple Wave spawning here at the top right as the Teal Protoss, and our human Zerg player at the bottom left. Clearly a very good player. Perhaps did not have the optimal approach to defending against 4-gate Dragoon, demonstrating that it is effective not only against other AI Zergs, but also against humans as well. On this map, that pressure might be even more potentially devastating, considering the fact that this is a rampless map. It's also a 2-base map, 2-main map, which generally does not go in Zerg's favor. It depends on how it's played out. This map, however, match point, by the way, pretty balanced. Had some amazing games on it. If you guys want to check out Stork versus Jaedong, which was an incredible game. Jaedong was in the same, I believe it was the same spawn as bottom left against top right Protoss. It was, I believe, almost an hour-long game, and Jaedong was pouring sweat, so I definitely highly recommend any viewer of and lover of StarCraft to check out that game from the Kespa era. Jaedong versus Stork on match point. But let's get back into and focus on this game. We do see a Forge opening from Purple Wave. This time it's not going to be the standard gateway opening that we've seen from bots like Locutus. I'm sorry, why his name escaped me? Stardust. I made a whole episode on him. So it's going to be a 3-cannon open from the AI, and it is going to scout that it is, again, Zerglings first into hatchery from the human player. Again, it's even a better option on a map like this because, as I mentioned earlier in this broadcast, 2-player maps, very easy to block the natural hatchery if you go for a hatchery first opening, so therefore it makes more sense to go for a Zergling opening. But it is going to follow up with a quick 3rd base here. And this 3rd base will be easier to defend, considering the fact that it is so close to the natural, but there is no gas here, which should be noted may shape the way that this game progresses. Now, a 3-cannon opening has, according to a lot of bot authors, the reason why it's so strong is because it blocks all early bullshit from the opponent Zergs, and I'm sorry about that word, but they... the cannons, they prevent Zergling aggression, and thus creating a window of time in which the AI can catch up economically, because the Zerg can't pressure, and most Zerg AI either go for pressure or they go for an economical opening, but still can't catch up. to the opponent. Interesting sunken decision here, but it is going to be adding hatcheries as well. Looks like it's going to be another macro opening from 3 bases for our human player. We do see a citadel coming up, and it is scouted by the Overlord. Very heads-up play from our human player here. Another gateway coming up as well. Scouting Zerglings actually posted up everywhere, which is beautiful play from the human player, but the first pressure is now coming in. 3 Zealots coming in against the Sunken. If they just run past this, they could do some damage to the economy, force drone pulls at the very least, but it looks like they are going to stutter step at the bottom of the ramp, unsure of how to proceed. Zerglings trickling back in. No, Zerglings being produced at the bases as well. It's gonna hold. It looks like, is this going to be 4-hatch Hydra? No, with a quick layer like that, it's most likely going to be some form of lurker defense, preparing itself for the Citadel base play, which usually infers speed lots, High Templar, Archons, and that kind of composition. The Zealot count is too high for these Zerglings to achieve much damage, even though there are more coming in. The Zealots will be able to take hold, especially by being able to run back to those cannons. A Corsair is made, which is a rather uncommon choice for Protoss AI, as we've discussed before. Some Zealots running around here as well, and actually it is going to be Hydra production, at least initially. I'm sure that the Lurker upgrade is on the way. No, it's actually Hydra upgrades on the way. So it is going to be a slightly non-standard 4-hatch Hydra play. Obviously, considering the fact that the Protoss has been on 1 base for so long, there's not as much necessity for going for a 5-hatch Hydra play at this point. The army production from the Protoss is earlier, so therefore you need to produce units earlier and in greater numbers earlier. So perhaps that is the reasoning, but it looks like we do see a 5th hatchery now coming up at a very good timing from our Zerg AI. I heard DT killing a couple of Zerglings here, and actually killed quite a lot of Hydras here, and is going to clear up most of the Zerg force here. That was a blunder by our human player, sorry to say. But it is still in a somewhat favorable position with the natural of the Protoss just now going up, with Zerg production kicking in quite heavily off of 5 hatcheries. Looks like this is going to be actually another hatchery, so it's going to be a 6-hatch Hydra play, which is somewhat in vogue, or has been recently. It's actually 7 hatches now, with a 4th base coming up for the Zerg player. Zerg player definitely in a better position than in the previous game. Hydra production is continuing strongly, but now there's Zealots with speed, High Templar and Dark Templar in the mix. Speed Overlords are done. Not enough Corsairs to deny them, not enough Dragoons to deny them either. Great control from the human player. Is it going to take down this Templar? No, it did dodge the storm quite well, though it did end up taking that Templar, but the DT is also... Oh, no, that's a Zealot. But there was a DT that went out. It looks like it's patrolling, making sure that nothing comes in. And actually, this attack is mostly diffused, but at great cost to the Protoss AI, considering the fact that the Protoss balls should never be diminished. That is one of the golden rules of PvZ. You want to maintain your army composition. The Templars managed to make an Archon, recognizing that they're under pressure. Very nice coding there by the eye, but this base has been denied. Hydralisks have been left here in order to deny any further expansion attempts to this 3rd gas. And with 4 bases to 2, the human player is in a clear advantage position. Corsairs are running around, but the Overlords are in a well-protected location here. Looks like they are scouting around as well to see if there's going to be any sign of a spire, but we don't see anything like that in view. Oh, wow, I think we heard a DT somewhere around here. It probably was, yep, it's right here. It's engaging with the enemy here. And continuing onwards, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't realize maybe that the audio was no longer going, the music, but I believe it started back up now. Anyway, Purple Wave continuing to get pressured by these Hydralisks. It has decided to take this 3rd mineral only and the 4th base at the same time. Due to the pressure that it has sustained, it has not been able to hold down a 3rd base. The army count is climbing now for Purple Wave, and it's taken quite a firm supply lead despite being even at about 60 a couple of minutes ago. Corsairs are going down. Overlords are going down as well, though. DTs are now pressuring the front. Only 1 sunken here is not going to be enough. This natural is now under pressure. Storm goes down on the Overlords, interestingly enough. The drones are being called in to help fight here. The DT now firmly in the main base, but it looks like it's not going to opt to attack. It's going to run to the 3rd base, where there is some army patrolling on the outside as well. They are not going to achieve much, though, unfortunately. and a continuous stream of Protoss units. Very unusual to see that, as I mentioned before. It's usually the ball that we're looking for in PvZ. That Storm does not kill any Hydralisks, but it does damage a couple. And the Zerg is holding on strong for now. Protoss is now, though, on 4 bases. Should be noted that the bases are undefended. This was a problem in the last game as well. Templar managed to form a Archon again. The Hydralisks, though, number is going down also because of the relentless pressure from the Protoss army. Another good Storm, but it doesn't actually kill anything. The Hydralisk movement was not contained by any pressure from the army. And the Hydralisk count is hemorrhaging, though, and the DTs managed to trap some more Hydralisks. Oh, another DT had run into the main base here, taking out quite a number of drones. Supply count is firmly in the AI's favor, now doubling the supply with 20 extra workers. And I think that this has been, like, you know, the gradual shifting of the tide in this game. And I believe that the Zerg is, quite frankly, going to struggle greatly against this continuing pressure from all of these gateways from the Protoss player. A great Blanket Storm here, a little bit overstacked as we've seen before, but continuing to pressure its way up. And oh my goodness, that was a beautiful Blanket Storm. All the Hydralisks go down, there's only 2 left, and now the army is going to enter the natural base of the Zerg player, almost uncontested, and is trying to desperately produce Hydralisks, but unfortunately is too little too late, and our human player taps out yet again. A fantastic performance from Purple Wave here. And that brings us to the conclusion of today's broadcast. I want to thank all of the participants who either submitted replays or submitted their AI, or who played in the Schnell ladder in order to make these games happen. I feel like we've had perhaps one of the most stellar 4-game blocks that in recent memory that I can remember. So I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Shoutouts to everyone involved with both SSCIT, Schnell, and to the entire community. If you guys want to join us, the Discord link should be in the description below. If you guys have any questions, concerns, suggestions, or just want to chat, feel free to join the Discord and to comment on the video below. This has been Choboswaggins, aka Jealous from Team Liquid, and I hope to see you all soon. Take care, everyone.